And welcome back, Sports Nation. Welcome back. You're listening live right here on the Ladies Lounge. I am so excited because we've had some beautiful, beautiful ladies here in the studio tonight, and I'm telling you, you are going to have some great information that you can really take back and really think about. Also, come back to the conversations that we've had tonight at a later time. But I want to thank first having my first guest in the studio at the 6:15 hour was Miss Teresa Nobin. Of course, tonight's conversation was about her brand new company, Crown On. For more information about Teresa, you can go to KTV, Source Radio Network, as well as our main station page, Source Radio Network, and get more information about Teresa. And again, ladies, definitely continue to support the beautiful women that we have on this platform because they are doing so wonderful and amazing things within their community and cities. Well, we're not done yet. That's right. We are now into our second hour of the show, and I'm so excited because I have two beautiful young ladies in the studio with me. I am going to be speaking with, well, as Miss Lila Holley. Now, these two ladies are part of a wonderful book called The Camouflaged Sisters, and I am so excited to be speaking with them. But before I bring them into the studio, I want to talk a little bit about the book and definitely begin to share a wonderful and amazing story and conversation. So the name of the book that we're going to be discussing tonight is Camouflaged Sisters, Silence No More. Now, there are 12 women strip away all comfort and protection to share the struggles that they face, not on the battlefield, but instead in places they never expected, like their homes, in their barracks, and among friends. Now, these are the stories of sexual trauma, domestic violence, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and many other dangerous challenges that women often face in military. Now, this book will definitely give a voice to the warrior who has suffered in silence, the soldier who has been plagued by pain, and women who will no longer stand for injustice, but rise up as a victor and speak her truth. How beautiful is that? And I love that. I love the fact that women are coming together, and no matter what they face, they actually can begin to speak the truth and begin to share. And that's what we're going to do on this platform tonight because, again, I am so excited to have these ladies in the studio with me. Again, I'm going to be speaking with Miss Teresa Robinson and Lila Holley. I do believe both are in the studio with me. Teresa, Lila, welcome to the Ladies Lounge. How are you?
We're doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you.
I'm doing great, too. Thank you for having us. Thank you. I mean, I always get excited to have beautiful women here in the studio with me and definitely on this platform. You know, just a little bit about the Ladies Lounge before I get you ladies to introduce yourself to everyone that's listening tonight. You know, this really is all about uplifting women and empowering women and giving them a voice to speak whatever it is that they would like to share. And I know just by reading a little bit about your book and sharing it here with the ladies in the lounge, I know that you all have some amazing stories to share. So I want to begin with Teresa. Teresa, if you will, if you could take a moment to introduce yourself to the ladies here in the lounge, that would be great.
Hi, my name is Teresa Robinson. I joined the military after completing 2 years of college in Shreveport, Louisiana. My primary job in the United States Army was a medical laboratory technician, where I worked in various duty assignments throughout the United States and overseas. I retired in 2014 and settled in Killeen, Texas with my husband and my son. I currently work for the federal government as a medical technologist. I met Lila at a natural hair show event. She's the creator behind the Camouflaged Sister brand, and I signed up for the mailing list for future events. So she presented the idea of the next book that she had coming out, so I agreed to sign up to tell my story about depression and dealing with loss through my professional career and my personal life.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And, of course, Ms. Lila Holley, if you will, please take a moment to introduce yourself to the ladies here in the lounge.
Yes, thank you. My name is Lila Holley. I am the visionary author behind Camouflaged Sisters, and I, too, am a veteran of the U.S. Army. I served 22 years and retired in 2012, had multiple assignments overseas as well as throughout the United States. And I really enjoyed my career. It was wonderful, really. But after 22 years, it was really time to retire. But what I wasn't ready for was the emotional part of the transition process of leaving the military life behind. It was quite a process for me, as it is for many veterans. But, sometimes oftentimes we really don't talk about it. So I ended up writing my first book about that experience in hopes of helping other veterans with that emotional transition. And so as a result of that, I realized we had some incredible stories to share, specifically military women. And so I penned the first Camouflaged Sisters book, and it was released, and I have 13 co-authors for that book, and we talk about the story of Black women serving in the military. And we just hit on topics such as leadership, mentorship, faith, balance, and transition. And then, like Teresa said, I presented the second book idea, talking about some tougher topics in Silent No More. And I'm so proud of my 11 co-authors and the courage that they display in sharing their stories. These are, like you read, these are tough topics to cover. But I always tell people to think of the military woman's story as layered. There's the good, the not so good, and then the downright ugly part. And if people and organizations want to serve us, they have to know the whole story. And so that's what we're presenting with Silent No More. Our hope is that sisters in arms that read the book, they connect with some of the stories, and they're encouraged to know that they, too, can move to their healing place as well. It is a true healing project, and that's how we describe it. And women who read it, they will feel that as well when they read the words from my co-authors and I.
Awesome. Well, ladies, thank you again for being here in the studio with me, and definitely I'm excited to be speaking with you in regards to your book, Camouflaged Sisters, Silent No More. So let's talk about that, because those of you, and thank you again for serving our country with grace and dignity. I definitely appreciate that. I have a sister who served in the military for 20 years also, so I know that work definitely sometimes go unnoticed, but I want to let you know that I appreciate you all for doing all that you can for our country. So I want to talk about that. Talk about, being African-American women in our armed services and serving, and some of the things that you had to really go through to now begin to talk about your journey. So I want to start with you, Teresa, if I may. Talk to us about why it was so important for you to tell your story on this particular platform.
For me, it was important to tell my story about dealing with depression and anxiety because there are so many people that experience it. And so I wanted to tell my story and to hope that one realizes that you're not alone. You don't have to be afraid of what others may say or think. Because for me, as a leader, I retired as a senior non-commissioned officer. So as a leader, you're looked up on as to be, the person who's in charge over your soldiers, over your civilians, and everyone looks up to you. So a lot of times when you're in a position like that, it's kind of hard to seek the help that you need. And I know that a lot of others will be able to relate to that. So by telling my story, like I said, I just want a person to know that they can get the help that they need, that to start healing and to learn the necessary tools that they have to function each day.
Great. Now, let's talk about, because you mentioned that your story dealt with the area of depression, and one of the things that I have definitely learned, and also I am a survivor of anxiety and depression. I know that within the African-American community, that particular part of our lives is usually not discussed, and especially with African-American women, typically we don't talk about that. So talk to us about that in reference to being able to give light to that area of life, depression.
Yes, that is very true. When you're growing up, you're told you're not to talk about those private things. But when you go out to seek the help that you need, that is hard at first. And I can tell you for my experience that for me what led to depression was part of what I did in the military. I saw the after effects of the death. I dealt with the body where we had to prepare it for the autopsies and then prepare it to be sent to the funeral home or to the designated location. So that, and then the loss of a child, my grandfather and my mother, when those deaths initially happened, I didn't respond or I didn't grieve as I should have, because I was in the military and we were taught that we had to, when something happens, you have to just keep forward and move, and you basically never deal with it. So it came a point in my life where everything just like collided, and I just had a breakdown. So I had to go and seek the help that I needed, and when I did that, it helped me to realize that there were so many things that I had not dealt with or recognized that I needed to deal with in order to move forward. And so by getting the assistance that I needed through a healthcare professional, that kind of helped me start dealing with my depression. And I'm so glad that I sought that assistance.
And I think that is so important for the ladies to know here that are listening tonight, that if you are experiencing depression, and that was one of the things that I did also, Teresa, was I was able to seek help through counseling. One of the main things that I'm so proud of is that I journal a lot. I was able to really begin to write about what my issues were, what were concerning to me, and be able to write and also think things through. So I think it's very important when we seek counseling. I don't think that people should be judged because of that. I think that is a very to you in that respect of knowing that you needed help and you sought out to make sure that you got that. So great job on that. Now, Lila, I want to transition over to you, if I may, and talk a little bit about why you felt that this platform was something that you needed to bring forth and begin to have these beautiful women share their stories.
Well, when you look back through history, the history books or military history specifically, you don't see our stories. You don't see people who look like us. No one's telling our story. And so I felt it was important for people to know our stories. I felt like 22 years is a long time to serve anything. And, like Teresa said, she retired as a senior and non-commissioned officer. I retired as a senior officer. But there were things that we had to fight through, day-to-day things that we had to work through as women, as spouses, as mothers, sacrifices that we had to make day in, day out, things like that the average person who's never worn a uniform just would not understand. You can't leave that story to Hollywood to tell. You just can't because they'll embellish it. They won't get it right. We lived it day in and day out, so I felt like for us to come together to tell our stories and to tell our stories, the struggles we worked through, as well as the successes we were able to accomplish, in spite of those challenges that we faced, was important for us to do, and it is still important for us to do. So we have more book projects in the making. We have a radio show, online radio show that is another platform where we share our stories, and we have an online magazine where we share our stories as well. And then we have an online community where we connect and we encourage each other and we share our stories as well. So, only 1% of our population serves in the military. And so there's a large portion that just doesn't understand what it looks like for women who love what we do in service. So it is very important for us to tell our own stories in our own words, in our own voices.
And I'm glad you said that, in reference to in history, there's nowhere that what we as African Americans have done to serve our country. Not only that, some of the hardships that we face on a daily basis, especially being in the military, because the military is synonymous for just thinking about men who serve our country, and it's sad that that's what people that only men need to be in the military. I think that the fact that we have women in the military doing some of the same jobs and holding the same positions as men is great. To have African American women to serve our country in the military and hold high positions in the military is an awesome thing as well. What I love most about what I've been able to gather, what you have stated, Lila, and what Teresa has stated, and what I've read in the book, is that there are some amazing women coming to the forefront to share stories that we often deal with on a day-to-day basis. You know, you mentioned there's stories in reference to sexual trauma. There's stories in reference to domestic violence, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder. These are areas of life where you really have to be very, very transparent is the word that I want to use. Be very transparent and be very true. These are areas of life where literally you have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, okay, can I truly talk about this? So I want to start right there, being transparent, that Lila. And as you were meeting women, was it very hard for them to be that way to get the story told?
That's a great question, and one that makes me chuckle because my first book, you talked about journaling, and I too journal quite a bit when I was going through depression when I separated from the military, and that writing and putting pen to paper is truly a therapeutic process, and my co-authors, they learned that in the process of writing their own stories for these book projects that we do. But you're absolutely right. It does take it takes a lot of soul searching. It takes a lot of self-assessing before you're even able to get to that level of transparency. And I chuckle because my first book is about 70 pages long, and it took me over a year to write it because I had a hard time being transparent because the military don't teach you that. And like Teresa said, they teach you to suck it up and drive on. There's no time to get into your feelings, you know, and we get good at that. If we amass any level of success in the military, we have excelled at that. And so, it was hard for me to retrain myself to move to a place of transparency because it made me feel very vulnerable, and I didn't like that feeling. And so that's the first thing you have to conquer is, you know, the feeling of being vulnerable. Like you said at the beginning of the interview, am I really ready to tell everybody this that I've been struggling with? Am I really ready to share this part of my story? Because from the outside, it looks like I got it all together. It looks like I've been handling it all very well. But on the inside, it's a totally different story. So when I approach ladies about sharing their stories, we have a very in-depth conversation. They understand the level of transparency involved. They understand the level, especially for Silent No More, they have to be at a specific place in their healing process to be able to share these types of stories because these are, like I said earlier, very tough topics to tackle. Many of these women, they made a hard decision because they had never shared this part of their story publicly before, ever. So I applaud my co-authors. I'm so very proud of them. I salute them for their courage. And I know firsthand it took a lot for them to move through that healing and move to that level where they were even willing to be transparent to share their stories. They understood that it was bigger than them. They understood that this book specifically was for our sisters who have not yet found their healing place. And so for that reason alone, I mean, I just salute them for their courage.
And I would like to add on, and so far we've gotten so many good reviews from when the book came out. We've helped a lot of women. Some of them they're inboxing or call and say, you all have done a wonderful job. Thank you for telling your story. I've gone through this, or I am currently going through this. So it makes me feel good. Also, when Lila explained to us, about, our writing process, it was hard you had to go back to relive the different issues that whatever you were writing about. And so it made the healing process even a little bit better by writing it and telling your story. So I'm so grateful for that.
Yes, I find that to be very, very true. I decided to begin journaling a lot, really, when I was going through my separation and divorce. And that was the way I healed myself from knowing that this was a second marriage that was ending, and I didn't want to have that woe with me moment, but I had to realize, okay, why did this marriage end, and what part of the demise in the marriage did I play? And like you said, sometimes it's very hard to look at yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
when you're at the point of, you have to begin to work on yourself. And that's one of the things that I say here on this platform a lot is that, in order for us to heal, we can't blame anyone else. There's no one else to blame. What part did you play, and are you willing to own up to it to make it to the next level? So I love that. I want to talk a little bit more, if I may, about your response. Now, Teresa, you mentioned that you've received great reviews from the book. Are you finding now, Teresa and Lila, that more women are wanting to come and share the stories, either if they've been in the military or they are part of a military family, that they're adding more on to what has been written?
Yeah, this is Lila. I'll go first. Well, it's funny that you should say that. So we have another book project coming out in March of this year, as a matter of fact, and we have 38 ladies who signed up to be a part of that project. It's more of a short story type book. I created a different platform to allow more women to come on board to share just a small piece of their story and to allow them to connect with the brand and to just grow the sisterhood. So, yeah, you're absolutely right. Women, it's been incredible to watch this whole movement transpire in front of my eyes because I just started out wanting to share stories. I just started out knowing that our stories were amazing in my travels around the country of sharing about the first Camouflaged Sisters book. I saw so many sisters in ours, so many women, military women as well, who were hurting, who were really hurting from experiences from the military. Some were family members who were able to understand what their siblings or their fathers had went through when they transitioned out of the military, why they never talked about certain things. So that was really rewarding to be able to give those family members some insights, and then to see the hurt that was on my sisters in arms. I wanted to remind them of just how valuable they were, how valuable their stories were, their experiences were, the women that they used to be in uniform, standing tall and the leaders that they were, I wanted to remind them of that. I wanted these ladies to value their stories, and that's what Camouflaged Sisters is really all about, for military women to value their stories, to value their experiences, because it made us the women that we are today. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think we're incredible. We are incredible women. And we're leaders, we're team members, we're organizers, project managers. We've done it all. We've taken troops to war and brought them back home safely. And I think that, when you leave behind the military and you try to fit into this quote-unquote society, what they tell you what a woman should be and do, it's not nothing like what you used to do and be in the military. And so a lot of us get confused, and what I describe it as, like, they shrink down their personality of the woman that they became because of their military experience, and now they're kind of, not quite able to fully be themselves, trying to fit into some mold that society has created for us. And so I want to give us back our power, our value in our stories. And so, yeah.
Wow.
That's my mission with this movement, yeah.
Yes. I love that. I love the fact that you were able to bring the 12 women together so they can speak about it. And now your next project where you're adding more women. I think in today's time, that's what we need to do. You mentioned a word that I am so passionate about, and I love to see when this happens. You mentioned the word sisterhood. I think that is so very important, definitely important in the African-American community. When Black women can come together and really talk about how to can get done. So I love it. I love it. What are your thoughts about that?
My thoughts on it is I love it. Anytime that I can be a part of a sisterhood where we're supporting each other, sharing our stories, because it's something that's really needed. A lot of times when they talk about especially Black females getting together, it's always that we can never get along or support each other. So that was one of the things too that attracted me to the Camouflaged Sister brand was because of the sisterhood that I saw. So I wanted to be a part of that and make a difference in telling my story.
Love it, love it. Again, Source Nation, we are speaking with Ms. Teresa Robinson and Lila Holley, and tonight's conversation is all about their brand new book, Camouflaged Sisters, Silent No More. Now, in this book, there are stories being told by 12 amazing women regarding sexual trauma, domestic violence, depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, and many other dangerous challenges that the women in the military really face on a day-to-day basis. And just by hearing two women speak their truth, I'm telling you, this is definitely a book that we need to get, ladies, and definitely begin to share and about. Now, Lila, I want to come back to you because you're saying that you're working on the next project. Are you all planning on doing like summits, maybe travel to different cities and bring the book to life by telling stories that way? What are your thoughts on that?
That's great that you said that because that is in the future plans. We want to travel and do, because I've been to a lot of different women expos, and oftentimes they're great. They bring women together. Sometimes they have celebrity speakers and things like that. They really get you pumped up. But they don't always hit the mark on topics of interest to military women. So we are looking at doing live events around the country geared towards military women specifically to talk about issues and topics that are of interest to us.
I love that, and I think that is very important as well. Now, Teresa, will you be doing any of the traveling once that takes place?
Yes, and we've already traveled to a few places already. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm sure once you're able to share some of the stories, again, you're probably meeting some dynamic women that should say, yes, I relate to that, or I know someone who has gone through that, and you're able to speak about it. How amazing is that?
Yeah, it is amazing. I've been on the road since 2015 with the project, so it has been incredible to meet the women face to face, to see their eyes light up when they see our banner. They know immediately it's military. Mm-hmm. So they run over and they share their stories, their experiences. I'm always excited to meet, the previous generation women who served before us and really paved the way for Teresa and I to serve and make it up to senior ranks like we did. So to get out there on the road and to connect with other sisters in arms is always amazing.
Yes, I bet so. I want to transition over just a little bit and talk about our younger, the younger women that are looking up to women such as yourself. Let's talk about that. How it has been a great impression that you've made. Have you come across any younger women that have either read the story or can relate to some of the things that you all have spoken about?
Yes. We that's also awesome as well. I know it's on Teresa's heart as well as my heart to provide mentorship. Actually, in our first book, we talk a lot about mentorship among women, specifically minority women. And so a lot of the ladies in that book are still serving in the military. Even in the second book, several of the ladies are still serving in the military, and they are very, very hands-on when it comes to mentoring the younger women coming behind us, coming up the ranks in the military. Just like you said, the thing about sisterhood is that it is very important. So we live it and we believe in it, and so mentorship is a big part of that. We support each other, we encourage each other, we pray for each other, and then we take it a step further by providing mentorship to the younger generation coming behind us to share our lessons learned and share some of the mistakes that we've made that they don't have to make because we already learned that lesson and we're able to share that with them. So we definitely believe that mentorship is very, very important among women, and we are always willing to reach back and provide that to the younger generation coming up now.
Wow, I love that. I think that is very important also to not leave a sister behind. You know, if you see her wherever she is in life and there is no judgment, that you can just say, hey, take my hand and we'll go together, I think it's amazing.
It is.
Yes,
and
for me, in my current job that I work in, I still work for the federal government, and it's still around soldiers. And so the female soldiers, I see that they lack a lot of the mentorship. I didn't have any mentorship when I came up through the ranks. It was learned by trial and error. So I pull them to the side, and I try to get them as much information as I can and let them know that I'm available if they have any questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Well, ladies, I know you are doing some wonderful and amazing things, still within the military, still within your community and city. You know, we talked about your next project. What else do we have on the horizon you'd like to share with the ladies here in the lounge?
Well, we are traveling a bit on sharing the message of Camouflaged Sisters. We'll be heading to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, to speak at the African American Military History Museum out there in the month of February for their fireside chat with veterans throughout the whole month. I think we're the third week of the month. We're going to be there President's Day weekend. So we'll have an opportunity to share our story there with them. This is our second time going to that museum, and they are so supportive of what we are doing. Like I mentioned, we have our radio show still going strong. That's been going on for about 7 months now. And then we just launched our online magazine in December. So we also have a Facebook page for anyone who wants to connect with us on social media, Facebook and Instagram. And we're just slowly growing the network, the sisterhood, to be available to other women out there serving in uniform who need to connect with women who understand them and been where they are now, and just looking for some sisterly love. That's what we're here for.
Awesome. I love it. You know, ladies, as we are wrapping up tonight's conversation, again, I want to thank you both for coming in and sharing your stories with us and giving us a more understanding in regards to Camouflaged Sisters. I truly have enjoyed having you here. But what we normally do, ladies, is we either have some encouraging word or maybe some tips and advice that we haven't shared in tonight's conversation. I would love if you both contribute to that. Teresa, would you like to leave some inspirational words or maybe some advice that we haven't shared in tonight's conversation?
Yes. I would just like to leave the message that we all go through different things in life, and that always be there to be able to help someone and to treat others like you want to be treated.
Mm-hmm. Love that. And Lila?
Yes, absolutely. Just know that you are not out here alone. You have sisters who are willing to connect with you, women who have served in the military and have done it just like you are doing it now. We're proud of you, and we're here for you. So if you need to connect with the sisterhood, connect with us. Any one of us in any two of the books are available to support, to answer questions, to help out, because that's what Sisters in Arms do.
Awesome. I love it. And if you will, once again, Lila, share with the ladies here in the lounge, how can we get more information about you and continue to support you in your efforts?
Thank you so much. You can reach us on our website, camouflagedsisters.com, and camouflage is spelled CAMOUSLAGED, sisters, SISTERS.com. And we, like I said, we have a Facebook page, Camouflaged Sisters LLC. That's our Facebook fan page. You can connect with us through that as well as our Instagram, Camouflaged Sisters page. And I'm also under my name, Lila Holley. And thank you again for providing this platform for us to just share our story. We really appreciate it.
I do appreciate you ladies for coming in tonight. Thank you once again for being here. And definitely we look forward to having more great conversations with you in the future. I'm sure we definitely are going to have some more of the ladies from the book. So if not, then I'll let Teresa know to reach out to you guys. So we get some more amazing ladies here to continue to share their stories. And I just want to say thank you so much for being here and definitely giving us the insight on Camouflaged Sisters. Ladies, thank you so much and have a wonderful and blessed evening.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.